Shalom Aleichem, Rabotai. Mishnah Yomi is continuing in the first parak of Bikkurim, God willing, finishing the first parak of Bikkurim today at Mishnah 11. Hakone shlosha elanot betoch shel chavero. Someone buys 3 trees that are situated in his neighbor's field, in his friend's field, someone else's field. So he doesn't really own the land, but when he buys 3 trees, it's considered as if he's buying the land under those trees also. So now he can bring the Bikkurim and Bikure, because he can say, the Adama that I have, the land that you've given me, Hashem. Rabbi Meir Omer Afilu Shnaim. Rabbi Meir says, even if he bought 2 trees on someone else's property, he has property rights to get in there and access his trees. He might have the rights, his discussion in Bava Batra, if he has the rights to replant the trees once they've dried up or they're not so gishmak anymore. So he has some property rights on the land. He could also be Mevi Akore according to Rabbi Meir. Mishnah continues, Kona Elon v'Kerkayu Mevi Akore. If he bought an Elon and the sale included the land, so they wrote it into the shtar or they made the deal, it's not just the tree, but it's the land under it. So now he definitely has rights, according to everyone, to replant the tree on the same land if it withers. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Mevi Akore, he brings and he recites, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Af bale risot, even sharecroppers, v'chachurot, and renters for a fixed portion of the crop, mevin v'korin. They can bring and they can recite also, because even though they don't own the land or both sides, they're working the land in order to get a percentage. They're the ones involved in the land, so Rabbi Yehuda considers them as if they have rights to it. And I'll say it's an amazing thing. If we go to Eretz Yisrael, we're not always all zoche to own land in Eretz Yisrael just yet. But if we go to Eretz Yisrael and we're doing something constructive, and Rabbosai, even learning in yeshiva, even davening with kavana, God willing, that's constructive. Those are constructive acts in Eretz Yisrael. Those, according to Rabbi Yehuda, give you some proprietary interest in Eretz Yisrael itself. Now let's turn on to the second parak. The second parak, we're going to be comparing Terumah and Meiser and Bikkurim. So Mishnah Aleph, Terumah v'Bikkurim. Terumah, remember Terumah Gedola is the first 2% given to the Kohanim from the crops in Eretz Yisrael. Chayovin alehem mita v'chomesh. A person who's not a Kohen and not from the household of the Kohen who eats these things, he's chayiv mita b'dei shemayim, a heavenly bestowed death. Hopefully he's going to do tshuva and fix the problem, and that won't happen to him. V'chomesh, and pay a fine of a chomesh, meaning a fifth. And it's a fifth of the total. So if he ate 100 kernels of Terumah popcorn, he has to pay back 125. So it's really a 25% tax, meaning you're adding a fifth of the total of the final amount. The asurim lizarim, and they are asur for non-kohanim or members of the household of kohanim to use. Hem nichse kohen, they belong to the kohen. They are mamish property of the kohen, meaning the kohen could use it to get married. He could use it for his investments, his private investment accounts. Olin be'echadameya, and they are batal in 101. As we mentioned before, this lashon olin means even though lamaisa, that 1 scoop of truma that fell into 100 scoops of chulin, lamaisa, it's batal, but we still take one out to give it to the kohen, so we're still giving something to the kohen as a replacement. Ut'onin, and they require rechitzat yadayim v'hariv shemesh. Rechitzat or yadayim we're familiar with. That's al netilat yadayim. And the reason for this is that yadayim, rabbinically, are shniot latuma, are a second degree ritual impurity, because people are always touching stuff, and the stuff they're touching, they're not always aware of what they're touching. So we assume that practically always, unless you just washed your hands and had things in mind, or you just went to the mikveh, then your hands probably touched something tameh. So before you handle truma, you have got to wash them to remove that tuma. And all of us, for almost 2,000 years, even people who are not kohanim, even the Yisraelim and Levim, have been washing our hands as a reminder for the Kohanim to handle their truma only after Yadayim. Of course, it's a reminder also to always eat. We know l'shem shemayim, not to be eating, just to fill our stomachs, but to be eating to have the energy to serve Hashem and learn His Torah. And as a reminder that there will be even more detailed laws of Tuma and Tahara that will apply b'mheira v'meinu when we have our holy temple, and we have to mamish get all the way tahor to eat from karbanot. The Harav Shemesh is sunset. So if a Kohen touched a sheretz and now he's Tameh, then he has to go to the mikveh that day, but he can't eat Terumah right away. He has to wait for nightfall. Harav Shemesh, the setting of the sun. This is the topic of the first Mishnah in Shas, the Mishnah about when we recite Shema in the Arav. That's Harav Shemesh. That's when the Kohanim go and eat their Terumah for dinner. Mishnah wraps up, Hare Elu b'Terumah Bikkurim. These laws apply both to regular Terumah Gedola, and the Bikkurim. And Bikkurim follow the same laws. So the Bikkurim, the Kohanim need to wash their hands and hold them to the standards of Tumah and Zahara of Terumah, and non-Kohanim are punished for eating them and would have to pay a penalty. Masha'ain ken b'maiser, but these chumrot, these stringencies do not apply to maiser. Maiser, of course, there's maiser rishon, which is given to the Levi, and maiser sheni, which we learned about, which is brought to Yerushalayim, and in some years we have maiser ani in place of the maiser sheni. Shkoyach Rabosai.